Amouage's first dip in the fougere game. This fern-based scent was a grower on me. No pun intended. What's going on, YouTube fragrance family? Welcome to another Robes 08 fragrance review. Today I'm going to put my nose on one of my favorite houses of all time, the House of Amouage, and part of their Midnight Flowers collection, which is called Bracken Man. Let's go. Bracken Man hit the shelves in 2016. Bottle size is what you see here, is what you're going to get, the 3.4 ounce Concentrations Eau de Parfum. And pricing online, of course, retail, you're looking at $325. Of course, look around for discounters. Most discounters have this now available. I want to take a moment and thank my partner, FragranceX.com, for Bracken Man. You can find most of the Amouage lineup, even the Opus series, on FragranceX.com. You can utilize my sweet code, ROBES08. You get 15% off on any fragrance on FragranceX.com, including Bracken. So let's get into the fragrance. The noses behind this, we got a two-headed monster, Olivier Crespe, well known in our fragrance community, and Fabrice Pellegrin. Notes in Bracken Man, let's delve into it. We got in the introduction lavender, cloves, cypress, nutmeg, bergamot, and lemon. So we have a good mix here of course, fresh notes, and we got some darker notes, and we got, of course, those spices. So I'm very interested in seeing what we'll get in that introduction. In the mid, we got some sandalwood, some cinnamon, geranium, and cedar. In the base, we got the patchouli and the musk. Major notes to this nose. Guys, I'll be quite honest with you. Every single note in this fragrance has an impact. I can name cypress, lavender, basically nutmeg and cloves big time in this fragrance. Patchouli, that's the base that it's upon. So everything has a place in Bracken. But if I had to name a few, lavender, cypress, patchouli, cloves, and nutmeg would be my picks. Group, this is an aromatic fougere. How many sprays and where? So how do I wear this one? My typical one on the chest, two on the neck. So one here and one here. Again, Amouage fragrances, two on the arm, so I'm wearing a longer sleeve, so I'll go like this and like this. Amouage fragrances, you don't have to swim in them. Some people do. I think it's more of a waste of money than anything. So 5 sprays or less with a lot of Amouages you'll see in my fragrance review. So Bracken gets the five spray treatment. Now it's meat and potato time. You guys all know what that means. Time to dissect this sucker. And Bracken, oh, you're an interesting one. I'll tell you that. Amouage, they really go artsy with a lot of their fragrances, and really go, I would have to say, kind of left field. They really just never cease to amaze me when they, especially recently, they're going into different genres of fragrances, and I really appreciate that new direction. I know a lot of fragrance houses are going more oud and more incense and things like that, and Amouage is going more Western, which is exactly the opposite of what other brands are doing. But I really appreciate that they're trying to be a little more mainstream, and they're still hugging to their roots as far as the artistic side of fragrances. Yeah, they're not using that silver frankincense as much in their fragrances, and I appreciate that. They really do have to branch out, and I really like what they're doing with their brand, to be quite honest. So let's delve into it. Let's remind me of that introduction. I'll put a first spray here on the back of my hand. And Bracken starts artsy, green, brown. It's very, the citruses pop in here. It's very interesting as a fragrance, very much left field. Really is, reminds me of an Amouage based scent. I mean, it really does by first sniff in this. So first sniff, this fragrance hits you like a ton of bricks. It's not for everybody. It really isn't. That opening, straightforward, honest, it's not. That's why you don't see too many fragrance reviews on this fragrance on YouTube, is because nobody really wants to buy this fragrance for the price that they're asking for. Well, not nobody. It's really based on taste. And again, your fragrance journey, it is based on taste. So Bracken Man, it hits you like a ton of bricks. It's very interesting. And I'll be honest, sometimes I was wearing this and I'm like, I'm not really sure how they did this, or how I got this smell here. And It seriously took me almost half a dozen wearings to truly see what this fragrance was trying to tell me in the opening. It hits you with multiple facets like most Amouages do. You get straight away that this is a fern-based fragrance, and that's why they, of course, have that leafy look to the bottle. That's what it's for. I'm doing another spray on my hand. Interesting. Yeah, multiple facets. So fern-based, it's got some spices. You're going to see the nutmeg pop in this. You're going to see the cloves pop in this. There's some cinnamon too, but not as prominent as those two. But you're going to get some spices. You're going to get some greens here. Cypress, definitely. Some citruses up top. They peek in and out of the fragrance. And some earthy qualities. That patchouli, that dank patchouli is your backbone and Bracken Man. This scent in color. If I had to give a color, no, it's not the color of the box. This is a very interesting look to the box. For me, that brown, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's brown. A very dark brown in color and green. Sometimes light green and sometimes very dark green. That's what it reminds me of. And it's very interesting that this fragrance has a lot of depth to it, and it does have some darkness to it, but at the same time, it remains fairly transparent. Especially in this opening, there's like a menthol-like feel to the fragrance, which I'm going to describe, but really interesting take for Bracken Man. Very interesting. So let's delve into it a little bit more. So it's got some bright citrus here that peaks and highs at different times in this introduction. Very short-lived, but it comes up and down, and it really is a third pairing to the fragrance. It's not a secondary note. It's not a primary note, but it does give it some uplifting character to it. That could be from the geranium because it does give out, geranium does give out a citrus take to its scent. The citrus is sharp, but again, plays a game of cat and mouse. It really comes in and out of that introduction. The mix of nutmeg and the lemon and some of the cloves here can make some people think of cleaner. Obviously, a lot of cleaners utilize lavender and citruses, especially I know that some reviewers have called this a, what do they call the little pucks in toilets. So it is, I do want to mention it because it does have that uplifting feel, but it also has a strange appeal in that introduction. Very unique freshness to the scent. Bracken also gives the user its spices as secondary notes. It's not very, how can I say it? It's not very, spices, when you're talking about nutmeg and cloves and things like that, people are automatically thinking Christmas time, darker fragrances. No, this is not it. It has a real interesting mesh with the spices and the more uplifting notes. But yes, it does have some challenging cloves in here, nutmeg, and a little bit of pinch of cinnamon. The cinnamon is probably that third spice, that third wheel. It's more about the cloves and nutmeg for me. The spices aid to the darker brown color that I think when smelling this scent. However, the fern is the star of the show. It's not the spices. It really is that green fern. You got that cypress note here, helping out with the green imagery in this scent. Lavender is in this scent. They utilize it quite a bit in this one. The lavender that they utilize in this one is called lavandin. And this is a cost-effective, cheap substitute for true lavender. And trust me, Amouage does not cheap out on their fragrances and what they put in their fragrances. But lavandin, what it has, and this is what makes this fragrance so interesting, it has a camphor-like quality. It has an herbal floral quality, which can be green. And when smelling this scent, you can definitely smell that. It puts its stamp on the whole fragrance. That lavandin is very much in there. Very challenging as a lavender. I don't want to say challenging, but very different. Very unique as a lavender note. And it puts its stamp on this fragrance. The earthy feel of the patchouli in here, of course, with that menthol-like scent, almost makes this a very challenging scent in the opening. It really does. It really pulls a lot of facets. There's a lot going on and a lot of noses, really, including mine. I was like, what is going on here? It was giving me left and right hooks, and I was just like, what is this? So very interesting introduction and heart to Bracken Man. This scent has a lot of moving parts. It will move quite a bit throughout the duration. And it gives me a lot. It gives me a green fern-like quality. It gives me an earthy soy-like quality. It has an herbal quality to the fragrance, musky quality. Great use of citruses, great use of lavender here, and of course those spices. The spices of nutmeg and cloves most notably make their mark throughout the scent. So you're gonna get a good wallop of nutmeg in here, quite a bit. Cinnamon, again, like I said, third wheel. More nutmeg and cloves than anything in this introduction to the heart of the fragrance. The opening also has like a dewy, wet soil type freshness. I mean, it really has like a wetness or a uplifting feel to the fragrance, and this is why it's so great for fall. Start of fall, this is amazing, but also for spring too. You know, you always get that soil-like smell when you're in the fall, in the spring, and this just puts it all together. Again, the opening, dewy freshness, a dewy wet soil. You'll start seeing Bracken transform itself more into a darker scent, but still remaining a little fresh here. A darker, earthy, and almost a mossy-like feel to the ending. Never too dark and very much suitable for the spring and fall. Now, more into the deep dry down of Bracken, it emphasizes more into the patchouli with some woods. So you're going to get that cedar, you're going to get that sandalwood too. It does smooth out quite a bit, losing some of its lavender take. More of its citruses, they're long gone. Some of the spices kind of lose some of their edge, so it smooths out a little bit. And you'll see in some reviews, it says the introduction, unbearable. Dry down, much better. And that's what it means. It really does smooth out quite a bit. The earthy patchouli with some cypress with the geranium gives you that idea of moss, bark, florals. Really great blend of those notes. And it really kind of brings me to the imagery of this. You got a tree, you got some moss on the bark. You know, when we're, especially with me in Canada, tons of trees with moss on the bark. You got some fern all over the ground, but you got that tree with the moss, a little wet, a little damp, much drier into this, this dry down, but it has that wet soil feel, almost like, let's say an hour after it rained. I mean, it really has that feel to the fragrance, and that's how it smells like. Really a lot of that green, that soil, that moss. Really an interesting take from Amouage, and I think a solid one. This one was a slow love for me, a slow like. I'm not into the love department. If you asked me how many Amouages I'd buy before this, the list would be fairly long. This is not, greens are really fern-like fragrances. They're okay. They have a place, but they're not ones that I would spend an upwards of $300 on, and that's probably why this doesn't get as much love that it should. The blend, the transition in Bracken, depth, complexity, all there, all check marks, and those are very, very important check marks as far as when you're paying this type of money. It is a work of art, and I could see people that are huge fans of these type of fragrances, they're gonna like Bracken, but it's a small population. There's a lot of people that don't like this type of fragrance, especially for the price. It's almost a no-go. So Bracken, appreciated by me. I really like delving into these Amouages. As you guys know, I love doing these fragrance reviews. So let's get into the recommended age. Bracken Man, 25 and up. I see this as a more mature fragrance, to be quite honest. Fragrances that it reminds me of, nothing. Nothing does this the way this does it. It's often compared to Fougère Royale for obvious reasons, Fougère type fragrance. Best time to wear this fragrance. This is more of a daily wear for me, casual wear for me. I wouldn't really dress this up for important meetings, things like that. I don't know. I don't think this is something like that. It's more of a casual daily driver. Seasons, I gotta say, anytime that you got that wet soil feel, that dank patchouli, it works so well in those middle seasons, right? Forget hot summer days and really, really cold winter days. You're looking at more spring and fall, those middle seasons, and this is perfect for that. You know, spring's just coming up. This is going to get a lot of wear for me, and in the fall it did get some wear for me. So very good for those. It's a tweener. That's what I call it, those type of fragrances, tweeners. Development, linear, average, or complex, as Amouage does. Very much complex. Work appropriate, it could be, but for me, it would not. Signature scent worthy, it could be, but for me, it's not. Especially if you're paying for this type of price, you don't have too many fragrances. You're looking for a fern-based fragrance with patchouli and everything I've described. This could be somebody's signature, definitely. Now let's rate Bracken Man. Let's take a look at projection, longevity, and as you can see, good scores here. 9 across the board. Projection, she's heavy, she's good. Longevity, again, another 9 here, 9 to 12 hours. These Amouages, a lot of them, they push and they do their job. So you get your money's worth. If you like the scent, you're going to get your money's worth as far as projection longevity. Compliment factor, this is where this one really did fairly low for me. 3 bottles out of 10. A hard one to get compliments out of people. You know, I'm not saying I had overly negative comments, but a lot of people that smelt this fragrance on me were just, it's okay, it smells nice. Nothing, I didn't sell any bottles. That's what I'm looking for, is people smelling it on me and saying, I need the name of that fragrance. That's a compliment right there. Uniqueness, 9 bottles out of 10. Fougère is a very old, old genre of fragrances, but the Amouages just does it different. It's unique, yet familiar. You get a 9. Pricing versus what you get, that's a hard one to sell, but you're gonna get a 7 here. Fougère type scents aren't ones I'd break the bank on, this kind of scent and soapy scents, but Amouage almost kind of pulls it off. It really has that Amouage feel to the fragrance where the quality's there, it's high up there, and it really does smell nice as a different and almost challenging Fougère fragrance. So very interesting from the house of Amouage. That goes to versatility. It's got some versatility to it. I would give it a 7 bottles out of 10. Smell, I'm going to give it a 9 bottles out of 10. Again, not my favorite genre, but once you delve into this fragrance and peel those layers, it really is an interesting scent. And I could see this just hitting all check marks for somebody that loves these kind of scents. And that goes to an overall score. Bracken Man does get an 8 bottles out of 10. Again, not my favorite. You know, some Amouages are going to get 10 out of 10s out of me because, of course, my personal taste. But I have to give it just due as far as what kind of fragrance it goes against others in the same type of genre, and it does its thing. There's a lot of positives out of this fragrance, and there's, of course, like any other fragrance, a lot of negatives. So it balances out, and I think this is a solid release from the house of Amouage. It definitely isn't a stinker. That goes to buy, try, or pass. This has to be right in the middle. A lot of people are going to say pass, but I'm going to go with try and try again. You know, maybe you didn't give it enough of a chance. It is a solid release, so give it another chance, I would say. But it's definitely not a buy on my end. It's more of a try. So Bracken Man, overall, this scent was a challenge, even for me. It really is. When pulling out all the layers out of this fragrance and giving it time, Bracken has so much to give as a scent. I really, truly appreciated the scent the more I kept wearing it. Its complexity, its depth is what I expect from the brand of Amouage. They did not disappoint in that manner. All I can say to those that did not like this scent from first stiff may want to go back to it just to see. It's rather unique, and with time, I enjoyed my journey with this one. I definitely will. It's not something that's going to collect dust in my collection, but it's not going to get heavy rotation. It's right there that I will grab onto it once in a while, especially for these spring and fall seasons. It's going to be fairly good for that. And please comment below if you have your take on Bracken Man, good or bad, and the ugly, because I know a lot of you are going to give the ugly of this fragrance. I'd love to hear your take. You agree, disagree with my rating, or what I described in the scent. I love to hear your take, especially in comments that say, hey Mark, you missed this out of this fragrance. I love to go back to them and just see, hey, did I miss that? So I love hearing your comments, especially with a complex scent like this. And remember, the greater pour fragrance will make a lasting impression. Choose your scent wisely. Thanks for watching, guys.